So the Astros are traveling to Cleveland for a game that doesn't mean anything in a series that doesn't mean anything, but there are a lot of unanswered questions for the Houston Astros. We'll discuss it on this Locked On Astros podcast.
Jainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you. Join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett can't join the show today, so I'm bringing in my old Talking Stros co-host, Brandon Del Castillo. Where can you find you at, Brandon?
You can find me on Twitter at bball.lawyer.
All right. That's a little bit shorter than I'm used to, but guys, go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and make us your first listen. Go and subscribe to us. We're trying to make a goal of getting to 15,000 by the end of 2024. So go ahead and subscribe to us. It takes a second. Just hit that little red button down there, and you'll make two older gentlemen happy. And I'm not even talking about you, Brandon. I'm talking about me and Brett. But guys, today's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. Booking.com, Booking.yeah. The right stay can make you a fan of any city, even your baseball rivals. Book today on Booking.com. It's the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today and go ahead and find your happy place. So, Brandon, I'm excited. The Astros have clinched another postseason. This is what, 8 straight, and it seems like it's inevitable that the Astros are going to make the postseason. Were you surprised with how the season started to where they are right now?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everybody was a little nervous, is putting it lightly around here. You get off to such a horrible start, you have to start questioning whether you're going to have enough time to make up ground, especially with the Rangers, who had just won a World Series, and the Mariners pitching staff. You worry about, can Julio Rodriguez get hot and carry that team? But luckily, it was the Astros who finally turned it around, got hot, and the Mariners forgot how to swing the bats. The Rangers just never showed up this year, so. It was a little surprising. I mean, I think you and I probably always thought we'd still rebound at some point and make
Right.
at least a push. I never gave up on the Astros, but it was a little harrowing there to begin the season.
Yes, and by the way, we have a little bit of breaking news. The Tigers and the Royals both won today. So that means the Mariners have been officially eliminated from the postseason for the 23rd season in a row. You almost have to feel bad for these guys, and or not. Well, no, I guess they haven't won the AL West for 23 years, but I guess I should say that they have been to the postseason. But you kind of wish that they would have a little bit more success getting to the postseason. I know they got the Astros knocked them out a couple years ago because Scott Service brought in who was that, Robbie Ray, to face Alvarez, and that didn't work out too well. But I know they have been to the postseason, but the AL West has been something that has eluded them. The Astros once again overtook them this year, and they're down 10 games. There's actually a breaking T-shirt that they came out with. It says 12-24, and the Astros are inevitable. So if you want to get that, go to breakingt.com/talkingstros, and you can go and get that shirt. But it's just awesome, the fact that the Astros are here right now. There are still some questions. This is not a perfect roster. In the years past, I think you can admit, Brandon, that we've been a little bit more confident about this team. But I think with all the controversy, all the animosity, everything that the Astros have gone to this year, this will make them a little bit stronger. And also, they seem to have a way to turn things on when it turns October, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I think we're kind of, I think us and a lot of the league are discounting the Astros because they got off to such a slow start. So they're record doesn't seem, we don't have that 1 and 2 seed like we usually do. The record seems like it's a little bit down. But from May 12th on, I mean, that's a long time.
Mhm.
May 12th on, the Astros are the number one team, best record in baseball. So Astros, they deserve some respect. This is a team, a very formidable team. Anytime you've got, just think about it. Call it out. The top 5 people in the lineup: Altuve, Bregman, Jordan, Tucker, Diaz. That's 5 you got to get through right there that you feel pretty confident about. And then, if Peñas and someone like Singleton or Jake Myers, they actually get up and start hitting a little bit, then the rest of the league's in trouble, because I think the pitching is going to be there. We've seen it since May, which has really started this turnaround. You feel pretty confident with the pitching. Fromber and Hunter Brown, and now getting Kikuchi, and arrested Blanco, I think you feel pretty good about, right, going into Game 4. Or if for some reason you have to play all 3 games of the wild card series, having Blanco be your number 1 guy in the division series, I think you're pretty good with running a guy that has a 3.3 ERA out there and can give you at least 5 good innings. You back him up with maybe a strong 2 from Arrighetti. We can talk about whether or not you want to, if you have a lead, you want to throw Verlander out there for an inning or 2 to close it out. You kind of piggyback, kind of like we did in 2017 with Morton and McCullers.
Yeah, I was wondering when you're going to bring up Verlander there, because we're talking about a future Hall of Famer, somebody that has rejuvenated his career with the Houston Astros. Yes, he's hit a little bit of a brick wall, but he admitted he might have come back a little bit too soon from his neck discomfort, and he was just trying to be an asset to this team. But I think this next start will. It's a better team. The Guardians are definitely a better team. So we'll see what the Astros have in store for them, because Verlander, he hasn't been the same guy. He's not missing bats, especially after that last game against the Angels, that they hit him around a little bit. So if you're going to face, before the show, we're talking about who the Astros are going to face. I know we're not looking ahead, but the Yankees, with their free falling, it's likely that we may be even facing the Yankees in round 2. So Verlander has pitched pretty good against the Yankees, so that's something to keep in mind. But there are so many question marks. So Brandon, before we get to the second segment in a second, I want to ask you, I know what Brett thinks. I kind of know what I think. What are your biggest questions going into the wild card series?
Really the wild card series, I'm not really afraid of anybody. I don't really have any questions regarding the team, because you feel pretty good whether it's Frommer getting game 1 or Hunter getting game 1. One of those guys are going to go 1-2. If you have to go a third game, you feel good about Kikuchi running him out there. The back end of the bullpen is pretty solid. I guess my biggest question would be, are you going to get production at the bottom of the lineup? And do you feel confident with Presley yet?
I mean, it feels like we're on pins and needles every time he pitches. Sometimes he pitches pretty good, sometimes he doesn't. But we've seen him turn things on in the postseason before and be that lights out guy. But that was also as a closer, so he's in a different role. So is it mental shift change that he needs to do? So there's got to be something that Presley needs to do. So I think some of my biggest questions is, who plays center field? Jake Myers got off to such a great start to the season, but he's not the same guy. Is Alvarez going to be healthy? Is Chas McCormick going to be healthy?
Yeah.
Who's on first base? Because we've seen a rotation of guys playing first base. Just when we thought it was John Singleton's job to lose, all of a sudden you see Victor Caratini getting a lot of reps at first base. Who's in the bullpen? I mean, you thought that maybe it was kind of locked who's there, but then you've had some guys kind of revert back to the mean a little bit. So there are so many questions about this. And I don't think what happens in the Guardian series is going to answer any of the questions, but Joe Espada and the rest of the staff, they are using the series to kind of think, pause. And they're also using this series as a way to get their starters off their feet because they've been grinding. You just talked about how good their record has been. So we'll go continue this conversation next, guys. Thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, and go and subscribe to us, and we'll continue this conversation next. Hey guys, let's go and talk about Robinhood Gold. If you haven't heard about this, it's you don't need a silver spoon to eat up all the financial favors of the top 1%. Robinhood Gold offers allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now, the resourceful individuals with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on a IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at robinhood.com gold. Terms apply. For product specific disclosures, visit robinhoodgold.com. And investment involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC. All right, guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. Check out Michael Connor with the Locked On Astros postcast as well. Brandon, you and I remember him with our Sports Talk 790s days. He would do the 9th inning or 10th inning show. Then we would do the after 10th inning show with Talking Astros during the 2017 playoffs. But go and check out Michael Connor. He does a great job with the Locked On Astros postcast as well. So, Brandon, I know we just kind of listed a whole hodgepodge of different ideas there. So, who plays center field in your opinion? Is it Jake Myers? Do they play out Dubon? Dubon's been playing a little bit more center field. Do you take a risk and put Hayward out there? He hasn't played a lot of center field. Who's your center fielder for the playoffs?
I think it's going to be Jake Myers. Defensively, being able to run out a defense of Kyle Tucker, Jake Myers, and Jason Hayward, who I think for some reasons we can talk about in a minute, will be the starting outfield. Dubon off the bench is going to be, really the only other outfielder that I think you can count on in the playoffs, depending on whether or not Chaz McCormick is healthy.
Right.
It's that really the health. That's that's the biggest question, right? Is Gordon going to be playing, and how healthy is he? Can he play the outfield? I really don't care if he plays the outfield. I just want him in there in that lineup, batting in that 2, 3, or 4 spot, somewhere in the lineup doing damage. I don't care if he's playing defense. You feel pretty good having Myers, Hayward, and Tucker with their defense out there. If you want from the right side Dubon instead of Hayward, I'm fine with that as well.
So basically, you just want Alvarez out there hitting downs. That's all you care about. So
Right.
You don't even want him to run. You wish that like in some beer leagues, they have like a designated runner. So if you hit a single, or you can have somebody run for you or something like that. You wish you can have that in Major League Baseball, but unfortunately, you have to have somebody run for you. You have to actually run for yourself unless you want to leave the game. And Alvarez, I think, and I've been talking about this on podcasts, the Astros made the right decision. They are letting him sit out for the rest of the season. And this makes a lot of sense. We don't care about these last 3 games. Why rush him back? He's a guy like Moises Alou and a lot of players that have played for the Astros. He doesn't need a lot of at-bats to get warm. He can go out there and just game 1 of the wild card series and just get ready to go play some baseball. So I'm not too worried about him. Jake Myers, yes, he has hit a career high home run number of home runs this year, but at the same time, he plays great defense, but he's just as liable to strike out. He doesn't hit for a lot of average. And I know you kind of said, well, if he can hit for anything during the playoffs, that's great. We don't have Martin Maldonado anymore kind of at the back end. So you have some catchers that can actually hit. We'll address the catching situation a little bit, but Dubon, he does at least put some good at bats together. For a while there, he wasn't striking out. Now he's striking out a little bit, but at least he always puts together a competitive at bat. So I would be surprised to see Dubon get some starts. We saw him at some point be Justin Verlander's designated center fielder, so we may see him go out there and play some in center field as well. But Jake Myers, unless somebody gets healthy named Chas McCormick, he's probably going to be in center field. And Chas McCormick, like we talked about yesterday, is he's taking some live pitches. I mean, not live pitches, but I think off the machine, he's taking some fast pitches. He hasn't graduated to live pitching yet, but that should be coming pretty soon. I don't think he'll be ready to. He may take some. I don't think he'll get any playing time before the season's over. But same thing, if you really want him on the roster, you're going to have to just add him to the wild card roster. So Chas McCormick, he could be an asset, but at the same time, I'm okay if the Astros have to put him as the 9-hole hitter and just hope that he does something. So at first base, we've seen a lot of Victor Caratini recently playing there. Joe Spada says he actually likes what he sees from Victor Caratini. Do you see the Astros carrying the third catcher and Cesar Salazar on the playoff roster?
I think you have to. I think you absolutely have to carry Salazar, because if you're going to be using either Diaz or Caratini at first base and one catching, you're going to need that third catcher. Obviously with Yordan probably getting most of his time at DH. You're not as worried about the switch there, having Diaz DHing there, but if you're going to have either of them playing first base, you need to have that third catcher, I think.
Yeah, and the Astros have done that in past. And during the shorter series, they typically carry extra hitter, so that would definitely allow them to maybe carry extra bat. Wild card series, it's kind of a wild card. You don't really know what they're going to do, but that's what they've done in past with the ALDS. So we'll see what Joe Espada does. I know in past it's been Dusty Baker, or it's been AJ Hinch, or somebody else. So we'll see what transpires here. But I think definitely Cesar Salazar, when he has played, he has looked pretty good with the bat. And unfortunately, you just have, or fortunately for the Astros, catching is not an issue for the Astros anymore. I know that some would say that Diaz is not the best catcher out there, but he's not embarrassing himself out there. He plays pretty good. He's not making him look like, no offense to Evan Gattis out there, but he doesn't look like Evan Gattis out there. He makes the plays. He gets most of the plays done. He calls a pretty good game. Victor Caratini may be a slightly better defensive catcher, but he's hitting like I think a lot of people expected him to. Diaz is. So I think that is the answer for first base. John Singleton. The reason why you do this is this kind of opens up a chance for John Singleton maybe get some at bats at not necessarily DH, because Alvarez will probably be DH, but as a pinch hitter. And you always want, let's say, whoever you face, we'll talk about that in a little bit, but brings in a left-handed, like they bring in a different pitcher. You need to bring in a left-handed hitter. Bases loaded. You want to bring in John Singleton. John Singleton does strike out a lot, but he also does make hard contact. And sometimes when he gets some advice from Jason Hayward, he makes soft contact and he gets some good hits as well. So I think the Astros bench is a little bit deeper. Huh?
The only other would be Dubon. You can put Dubon at first.
Yeah, that's true.
Feel about that?
I think Dubon's his value is his versatility. So I think that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't tie him down to one position. They may have him play first base for one game, but they're not going to say you're the everyday first baseman. You have too many other people that can do that. And I know Shea Whitcomb could possibly, no, not Shea Whitcomb, Zach DeZenzo could possibly on the roster and he could play some first base. Whitcomb, we can talk about in a second. Would he even be on the playoff roster to play third base? But if this is the playoffs, you're not taking Alex Bregman out of the lineup. So the reserves are not going to get a lot of playing time. So it's just pinch hit opportunities, that type of thing, but maybe for the matchups. But I think in this situation, I don't know. It's curious what the Astros are going to do. And I want to get your thoughts in a little bit about Justin Verlander. What are they going to do with that? Because this is a situation where Verlander's pitching on Saturday. He's probably not going to pitch in the wild card series unless he comes out of bullpen. And you brought up something before the show that's a little interesting thought I didn't even think about. So we'll discuss that and more. Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Hey guys, go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast. But today's episode is brought to you by Booking.com. If you want to go out there, go on vacation, why don't you check out Booking.com? I know that me and my girlfriend are going to try to go up and see Lincoln Park in Dallas. I know that's our rival city, but Booking.com will make you a fan of any city, even Dallas. So the right stay can make you a fan. Book today on Booking.com, the official accommodation partner of Major League Baseball. Get the Booking.com app today. You can go to whether you want to go. I know it's too late. Today was the last day at Oakland Coliseum. They're closing their doors. You finally had all the fans go to watch the A's. Now they're traveling to a different city next year. So you can go to any different city with Booking.com. Choices wherever you want to go. And with postseason going, do you want to go? We don't know where the Astros are going to play. Booking.com delivers exactly where you want to go, when you want to go, for the prices you want to go. So the right stay can make you a fan of any U.S. city, even your baseball rival city. So go to Booking.com today, and you can find the right match for you. Hey guys, let's talk about PrizePicks. PrizePicks. Brett and I do this all the time. Brandon, I don't know if you've heard about PrizePicks, but it's the number one daily fantasy sports out there. I just beat Brandon in fantasy baseball, and he's a little bit mad about the amount of money he won. He did win a little bit, but you're not competing against Brandon. You're not competing against Brett. You're competing against yourself. How many innings do you think that Blanco is going to go? How many innings do you think that Arrighetti is going to go? How many innings do you think that Verlander's can go? This is what you can do. How many pitching outs? How many strikeouts? How many home runs do we think that Kyle Tucker could do? How many RBIs? Everything. You can go ahead and bet on this, and you decide how much you want to bet, and the amount that you win depends on how much you put in. So it's the best thing out there. It's instant satisfaction, and it just gives you that extra inspiration to watch a series that probably doesn't matter. So download the PrizePicks app today and use the code Locked On MLB and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That code is Locked On MLB on PrizePicks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to receive the $50 bonus. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. PrizePicks, run your game. Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to us. Go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. And Brandon, I think that we were going to go ahead and move on to the rotation at this point. I know that we both kind of agree. I think everybody in Houston agrees that it's probably going to be Valdez, then Brown, and then Kikuchi if the Astros don't win the first two games. What do the Astros do from there? Because whoever pitches in game 1 and 2, they're not going to be able to pitch in game 1 of the ALDS. We don't know who the Astros are going to face at this point. What do you think the Astros do with the rest of the rotation?
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, I mean, it's a 3-game series. I mean, how much do you really need? You're hoping that, you're counting on Hunter Brown and Fromber and Kikuchi to at least give you 5 or 6 innings, right? So
Right.
if you need more bullpen than you usually use out of Hader, Presley, Abreu, Neris, Caleb Ferguson, Caleb Ort. If you need more than that, you've got bigger problems, is what we talked about, right? So I think Blanco and Arrighetti and JV, the other three, will make the playoff roster. Whether they're not going to get used. Hopefully, like I said to you, if JV is and Arrighetti are pitching in one of the first 3 games of the wild card, then things have not gone well for us.
Yeah, and Blanco is pitching Friday night, so technically he could be pitched long relief in one of those games. But I think the Astros are hoping to save him for one of the uh, either game 1 or game 2 of the ALDS should they advance. So the Astros are making all these what if scenarios, and so I think that's part of why they moved up Blanco ahead of Verlander. I think they wanted to make him a possibly available in the wild card series in case that way they didn't have to burn possibly Verlander. Because my thing with Verlander, if he makes the wild card roster, he has not pitched out of the bullpen. I know you kind of mentioned, well, we had Morton, we had McCullers, and to take it even further back, we had Roger Clemens come out of bullpen before, and they haven't done it before. So maybe this could be something that Justin Verlander, at his age, can get accustomed to. Maybe at least for one series during the wild card. Maybe short stints, he can figure out how to up his velocity a little bit, get his some of his presence back, because I think that he has lost a little bit of his presence.
Yeah, I agree. The thing you worry about with Verlander is that it seems that it's mechanical, right? Or
Right.
it's either mechanical or in his head, and it's taken a while for him to find his mechanics. It's usually been at the beginning of games where he's walking people, and so bringing him in out of the bullpen is something you worry about. Really, you're putting him on the wild card roster. It's probably just a sign of respect at this point. Look, you should not need all 26 players in a 3-game wild card. So it should not be in place of someone better. I don't think you can say that. I mean, are you going to call up somebody like Forrest Whitley, who hasn't pitched up here?
Why not?
I mean,
I know.
is that something you could do? How is he going to react at this point? You've been waiting for him for years. Yes, he's looked great in the minors, but he had one stint up here where he looked, okay, got out of it with 3 strikeouts, but did have a couple people on base. I don't know if you trust him at this point. You haven't seen him all September, so that's not really an option, I don't think. So who else are you going to put on the roster besides Justin Verlander at this point?
Seth Martinez is somebody that is down in AAA right now. He is somebody that you can possibly bring up. There are some people that have been up and down. I know Sheldon Dubin is technically on the roster right now. That's just because Taylor Scott is off the roster right at the moment. So I don't know. The roster is a little bit in flux right now, and I think it also depends on the matchups. So before we get to the matchups at the end of the show, I do want to kind of ask, what does your roster look like at the moment? Brett and I are going to talk about that in a show in the next couple of days, but what does your playoff roster look like?
Yeah, real easy. The 6 starters all make the roster. Then you've got your 4, leverage relief pitchers that you count on, plus Caleb Ferguson to give you that left-handed. Do you want Taylor Scott? Do you want Caleb Bort? You can pick one of those guys, maybe one Seth Martinez. You're probably going to have a second lefty to choose from, maybe Brian King if you want to go that way. That's probably who that last pitcher is going to be, is that second left-hander, just to give you an option. Again, you're talking about hopefully 6 innings from Brown, 6 innings from Fromer, 6 innings from Yusei if it goes 3 games, and it's probably all hands on deck for a short series. You're gonna be using Hader, Presley, Abreu, maybe Caleb Ferguson against some tough lefties. Neris. So really, are you going to be using those last couple of people in your bullpen, unless it's just a really bad blowout? Like I said, if you're using those people, then things have not gone well for your Astros. The lineup is going to stay the same. I have Hayward starting in left field, Singleton at first. Caratini on the bench with Dubon, Cesar Salazar, like we talked about earlier, with that extra catcher. And then you got to have that extra defender, some guy that can run for you, play a little defense. I think after yesterday, I can't go with Shea Whitcomb. So I'm going to go with Gray Kessinger. But that also depends on Chaz McCormick's health. If they feel Chaz can hit, I don't mind having just Dubon as your backup infielder and bringing that extra outfielder with Chaz.
Okay, so Brett and I were going to talk about ours, but I know you don't like doing this, but who would you rather face, the Tigers or the Royals?
I'm going to go Royals. Royals have not been hitting; they've been struggling, mightily. Again, it's a 3-game series, so anything can happen. But I'd much rather start off facing either Cole Reagans or Seth Lugo. I understand both have had great years, and I'm not saying they're not. They're just not Tarek School. All right. Also, the other big guy that Detroit's been throwing out there is Montero, who the Astros have not seen, and how the Astros deal with pitchers they've never seen before. So Detroit is on fire right now. I'd much rather face the Royals, but look, I understand the Royals pitching, especially Reagans and Lugo up top, can be formidable as well. It's just right now, do I want to face Skubal and that hot hitting Tigers lineup? Not really.
Yeah. So, guys, that's all we got for this Locked On Astros podcast. Tomorrow we got, tomorrow we got Renel Blanco on facing Cantillo. I think it's Joey Cantillo, and he's 24 years old. He's one of those guys the Astros have never faced. So we'll see how they do in this game. But once again, this is all about deciding the next 3 days is deciding who's going to be on that postseason roster. Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Brandon, thank you for coming on the Locked On Astros podcast. I appreciate you doing this on the last minute, and go and subscribe to us, guys, and make this your first listen, and we will see you tomorrow. And go Astros.
Go Astros.